Alright, here's the result after just shy of 24 hours of this ruler soaking in vinegar. How cool is that? How cool is that? Alright, so that's just a preliminary clean off. I'm going to clean the rest of it off nice and deeply with some wet dry sandpaper. This guy here, since my vinegar wasn't quite deep enough, I'm going to go ahead and put that back in there.
Don't do what I just did, because etching. If you don't have enough vinegar to cover the item, do one of three things. Get more vinegar. Get a different vessel, which will allow your vinegar to cover the item. Or just don't do it. So I discovered this as I was cleaning it up, and I kind of figured that it was just a characteristic of the rust, of the different way that the rust had chewed on the item when I pulled this out, and so I didn't even really highlight it in the video. But what happens there is at the level, at the interface between the vinegar and the atmosphere, that chemical reaction right there that's chewing off that rust is invigorated by the presence of the oxygen right there. So it happens a lot faster, and therefore it will, or could, chew a little line right at that fluid level. So thank you to Matt Cooper for pointing that out. I really appreciate it, Matt. And now I know. Thankfully, I didn't muff this thing up badly with it. Carry on.
I'm going to leave this guy in there, flipped over on the other side for a soak. Well, here's after just a few minutes of scrubbing this thing with just this non-abrasive. There's absolutely no abrasive in there. This is just this is kind of like a wannabe SOS pad. It's just nylon. There's no actual abrasive in there. So I like to use this on things that I deem to be delicate, that I don't want to bugger up. And that's how clean it's got this thing already. Pretty cool. So just got some 800 grit wet dry sandpaper. I've never seen this happen before. On this ubiquitous old 3M sanding block, I went to flip it up. Doggone thing broke right off. No goodski. Put it back on there to keep my hands from getting stabbed anyway. So I'm going to get after this ruler. A little ways to go. There we are. After just a bit more sanding and a quick coat of, or a quick application of some metal polish, I think that'll be just fine, don't you? What's wrong with that? So the next thing that I'm going to do is actually a subscriber suggestion. And I'm sorry I can't recall your name just off the top of my head here, but there was somebody talking about doing a combination square and doing it as though you were flattening the sole on a plane. And my understanding is for the edges to do that. There's no way that I'm going to even try to get the surface of the ruler completely flat, but I am. It is worth it, absolutely worth it, to try to get the edge flat, because that's the surface that you're registering against. That's the surface that you're marking against. So I'm going to give that a shot with, like was suggested, some wet dry sandpaper on a piece of glass. Right, the premise behind this is that a sheet of glass is flat. At least it should be. So by doing like so on a sheet of glass, you should be able to get the edge of this ruler perfectly flat. While I'm doing this, I'm going to be looking for low spots, spots that are not getting shined up. Looks like it's pretty good though. A little bit of a high spot there where it looks like it's been whacked by something, but it's coming down nicely. Alright, that edge is good. I know there's a spot on this edge. It looks as though somebody was cutting something with a hacksaw and using this as a guide. The hacksaw appears to have made a little contact. It's a little bit chewed up. Not badly though. Let's see if we can find it. There we go. You see that right there? Let's see there. There, it looks like somebody chewed that up a bit, but anything else seems to be coming in nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and call this ruler fixed. It's as straight as it's ever been. The surfaces are flat. The numbers are clearly legible. Yeah, I think I'm done here. What do you think? There we go. Now maybe, where is it? And maybe you can see that maker's mark. Craftsman, made in USA. There you go. Somebody mentioned you don't find quality like this at Walmart. You, sir, are correct. So now with this done, I can go ahead and set this aside and I can start working on some of the other pieces of it. Next I'm going to get to work on this little keeper as well as my buggered up knob. Let me get these cleaned up. Yeah, that's a little cleaner, wouldn't you say? So there we go. Here's our little knob all nice and cleaned up. You can't even see the spot where I dinged it up with the vice grips. I think, oh, maybe you can. I think it looked so much worse because it had caused a shiny spot on the metal where everything else was rusty. So now with that all cleaned up, yeah, I think that'll work just fine, don't you? Alright, I have let the body, I guess you'd call this, let the body of this thing sit in the vinegar as long as I'm gonna. I think that I think it's done all the good that it's going to. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it, flatten up the surfaces, and then I'll see how much of this scaly rust that I can get out of here. There it is with the last of the little fiddly bits cleaned up. Let me say we give it a test fit, shall we? Make sure it all fits back together like it's supposed to. Take that guy in there. So while I'm doing this, I'd like to ask your opinion. I have a bit of a quandary here. The original color that was painted on the body of this tool was a somewhat of a light gray. I know that because that's the color of paint that I scraped off with the wire wheel a little bit ago. And I don't have that light gray, and I find it really impractical to run out and buy a whole can of spray paint for this much of a tool. So what do you think? Should I go with that color, or should I go with that color in the middle here? I'm fully accepting the fact that it's okay. This is my tool. I can paint it whatever color I want, but I would like you guys' opinion, your input. What do you think of that tool? Yeah? I'd call that a very, very usable tool. Complete with a working bubble level. Focus on it, would you? There we go. See? See, I didn't even have to put a new bubble in it. Well, here's where we are. Really the only thing left to do to this tool is going to be to disassemble it mask it off and paint it with whatever color that we choose on the inside part of it here. So the next episode will be the last episode for this tool. I am looking for your input on whether to paint this black or that Swedish blue. I've used that Swedish blue on axe heads before. I am leaning towards one, but I'm not going to tell you which one it is. I would like your input. So that's about all I've got. I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate your time. I hope that you liked it. If you did, give it the old thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks again for watching.